Good morning. This is Mona and this is my morning view. Today, summer edition 2025. It is beautiful, beautiful. Blue skies. Blue skies. From now on. Anyways, actually it's going to be raining later on this week. Today, on this beautiful summer edition of 2025, it is, I want to say, August. I don't know what today is. All right. We're looking at Tuesday, Tips Tuesday. So, on Tips Tuesday in August, check your calendar. You'll come up with close to the right date. It's still the beginning of the month and not the end of the month. So, you have two guesses on Tuesday of what day it is. I really should look at the calendar before I put this to go. I want to say it's around the 14th because the 14th is being deleted from Facebook. So if you want to see the videos prior to July 14th, then go ahead and go to my YouTube channel, which is different than my Facebook channel, Mona E. Harrison. Mona E. Harrison, go to YouTube, you'll see my hair, you'll see my beautiful face, you'll know you're in the right place, and subscribe. All right. Get all the bells and whistles. Hit notifications too. This video will be uploaded tonight or tomorrow. And in the meantime, you can go there and watch about 4 months worth of videos. Because I have put about 4 months worth of videos onto YouTube. I have over 9.5 years of content that eventually will make its way over there. But for now, this is what we have. So for both Facebook and YouTube, go ahead and like, share if you find the content valuable, and like, share, and comment. Comment. I like comments. All right. Now, Tips Tuesday. That's getting on with the show. Tips Tuesday. Oh, what am I going to talk about? Expectations. Okay. Expectations in a relationship. And it doesn't matter whether that relationship is you're intimate with your spouse, or whether it's your family members, or whether it's your friends. We all have these expectations from these relationships. And expectations can far supersede reality. Okay? They can far supersede reality. And when that happens, how do you feel about that person? Mind you, it wasn't their expectations. It was your expectations. A lot of people get into a marriage and they have in their mind these expectations of what it's going to look like, what their spouse is going to be like. If your spouse is already not that person, it's probably safe to say don't expect in your expectations. For those who are not married yet, I would consider sitting down with your potential individual and state what your expectations from that person would be. And then if they're like, oh, that's plausible, then okay, you can move forward. If they're like, over my dead body, that ain't happening, well, you may want to reconsider, right? But you also have to look at whether your expectations are greater than any individual, or an individual, or the type of individual that you put yourself around. Because, you know, birds of a feather flock together type of thing, right? They say that your 5 best friends are a reflection of where you are in your standing. So don't think more highly than you ought because, you know, you think you're higher than your friends. Statistics says you're not. So expectations. Do you have these expectations toward your loved one, toward a family member, to our children? Our children. A lot of times we've had these expectations for our children, and they didn't quite measure up to the expectation that we had in our minds of what they were going to turn out like. Remember, you are not in control of anyone else's life. You are not in control of your children's lives. You are to care for them. You are to raise them up in the way they should go. You should encourage them. And you should keep them relatively safe. I think I've had a video on this safety thing about, trying to keep your children from pain and suffering, from sorrow and suffering, and actually that in a way hurts them in their growth and doesn't help them. So just when I talk about keeping children safe, is making sure that there is a safe place for them, making sure that you have taught them what to look out for, right? But as far as determining what they do, how they do it, when they do it, why they do it, when they become adults, that's not for you. Sorry. That should have been a Feisty Friday moment. Because I know a lot of people that control their children long into adulthood. It's okay to give them advice. You're their parent. But when it comes down to the nitty-gritty, they are in control of their lives. Not only are they in control of their lives, but they are responsible for their life. You are no longer responsible for their life. So your expectations may not have been met. Your spouse and your marriage, how you envisioned it, usually it's this fairy tale story. Oh, that's why you had the big dress and the party and all that and the wedding. I did not have those things. I got married just as of the peace, late in the evening. He went to his room, I went to my room at the barracks, and that was it. It was like, there was no fanfare to believe that this was going to be a fairy tale princess marriage. And I think that helped in the idea of expectation, what I expected. But I still had expectations of how it could be, how it could have been. The thing of it is when you have, I'm getting this, like stickiness in my throat. Well, I'm trying to talk here. So, when your expectations haven't been met, one, did you talk it over with them? Did you let them know what your expectations were? Were you scoffed at? Now that you are married and you didn't have that conversation prior to marriage, it'd probably be a good idea to sit down and lay out your expectations. Mind you, they are going to lay out their expectations of you as well, so be ready for it. Expectations are not one-sided, but they can look very different to different people. So, to come to a consensus would be a good thing. But when those expectations that you had were not met in your marriage, how did you feel about that person now that the expectations haven't been met? Is that part of the package? Is that part of how you feel towards that person? When you get married, you're supposed to love that person. The whole in love. You don't fall out of love. You fall out of expectations not being met. And so, all of a sudden, now you're looking at, I have been wronged in this relationship because my expectations were not met. And because I had this love affair with my expectations and you did not meet them, you are no longer welcome in this relationship. That's usually what happens in today's world. And what we really need to do is take account of the expectations that were higher than what a human being can do. Or perhaps that particular human being can do. Or perhaps what expectations did they have of you that you weren't willing to compromise. Like I said, it's two-sided. It's not just your expectations weren't met. It's quite possible the other person's expectations were not met. And a lot of that is because of lack of communication. Once you have laid out your expectations and agree upon what can be compromised to meet certain goals, certain achievements, or at least an attempt to make it, because like I said, we're all growing, and you may have an expectation of them jumping a 6-foot bar, and they can only successfully jump a 3-foot bar at this time. And it would take time for them to build up that space to reach that 6-foot bar. But mind you, there are some people that can never jump that 6-foot bar, no matter how hard they try. And again, when you married the individual, did you marry them because you love them, or did you marry them because of your love for the expectation that you had in your mind? Is it their fault that you had this expectation and this love affair with with your expectation rather than with them? Oh, this sounds like a feisty Friday, but I really want it to be a tip for you for Tips Tuesday, that we need to evaluate our expectations of others, and we need to not think ourselves more highly than we ought about ourselves, because we may come way under that 6-foot bar ourselves. All right? So that is what I have for you today for Tips Tuesday. Reevaluate your expectations in your relationships. And like I said, this goes with marriage, it goes with friendship, it goes with family members, whatever relationship you have. It could be a work relationship. You know, your boss expects you to behave a certain way. He expects you to achieve a certain achievement, and you have an expectation that your boss is going to treat you fairly, is going to treat you with respect. And sometimes those things don't coincide. Sometimes those things don't line up. So this relationship thing, it varies in the type of relationship that you're in, but it still all comes down to expectation. Expectation. All right. Blessings, everybody. Have a great day. I will see you tomorrow for Wonderful Wednesday, and just have a great day. It's a beautiful summer day here. Hopefully it's a beautiful summer day where you're at. Of course, unless you're some of my New Zealand peeps, in which case, those that live in the land down under, it could be a beautiful winter day. All right. Blessings, everybody. Have a great day. I will see you tomorrow.